viewers. Welcome to the PR Movement India Leadership Podcast for 2021. Today we have a very interesting team in front of us, the co-founders of Media Mantra. Media Mantra will turn 9 this August, and we have them here today with us, Pooja and Udit Pathak, who will walk us through what their learnings have been from last year. Welcome, Pooja and Udit.
Thank you, Parul.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much, Parul.
So my first question goes to Pooja. What has been, since everybody's working from home, what has been the major motivational challenge, for the staff, for you?
So the motivational challenge as such is that, at the start of it, the things were looking very gloomy, things were looking very unorganized and all. But, as we started graduating in this pandemic itself, there were two things that we realized, people can either have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. So it is better to have a growth mindset in which you are actually exploring and yet you are at home, but you are still having that kind of a mindset in which you are looking for opportunities. You are having a sense of gratitude. You are having a sense of how you can accomplish things for your clients.
Flowing from what Pooja said, we talked a little bit before this interview about the challenges of retaining staff. Could you help us understand what has it been like for the PR firms?
Yeah. So Parul, when it all started, nobody was even aware of it. That how would this unfold, right? So were we when it started. We were in a fix that what to do now, right? And with no reasons or no reasons for problems, right? There were suddenly problems which started happening, right? We went to people, and one thing which we decided as an organization and we decided as management was that I think this is the right time to give more power to people, right? Wherein when we first had a internal meeting, we were clueless. Even I and Pooja, my accounts team, we were clueless. We were under such a bad review or a scanner that we were not even aware what is going to happen the next day, right? But I remember after the lockdown started, we again met. We met at our via virtually, and that's wherein I and Pooja thought this is the right time to give more power to people. Let's give them power and let's see how will they perform, right? That's wherein we decided, and when we started giving more power, they started taking more responsibility. And when I talk about responsibility, I was amazed with the level of maturity the younger staff. Now younger staff means people who are under 30, right? 25, 27-year olds started taking more responsibility and started coming out with some innovative ideas which I never thought they would come out with. So that was something which I learned from them.
The fact that your young staff came up with a lot of ideas. I mean, some of the ideas you were probably looking for is how to move towards the integrated, the holy grail, which somehow doesn't seem to always happen, the integrated communication approach. What has been your experience with this? First, I'd like Udit to answer and then Pooja also to take that question.
So, Parul, as I was mentioning, a few minutes back as well, integrated as a word was discussed before the pandemic also. Now, while every agency was moving towards integrated communication at a certain speed, but when the pandemic happened, they notched up their speed to X+1 level, right? So did we. We started focusing more on integrated communication. We started focusing more on our digital, teams as well, and we ramped up our digital team. And we were happy to tell you, we are happy to tell you that we got 7 new brands on board during the last 1 year just to handle the digital mandate along with the PR, right? So that made more of that gave us more of advantage. If you actually look at now, in the past 6 months we have started receiving a lot of RFPs which from the brand side also talks more about integrated communication, right? Because they understand the power of the entire digital media. And right now, when there was no newspapers at one point of time which was coming, there was no printing happening, right? Very less of printing happening. What came to what came to the rescue was the digital media, right? They were still communicating and online stories were coming out. So therefore, the mandates have started coming in, and because of our team, because the team has ramped up, we have been able to get more of the mandates as well.
Oh, that's great to actually understand that. Pooja, what are your views on the which part of integrated? Of course, the digital one is an obvious piece, but is there
Yeah.
some part of integration which communicators miss out, which they need to?
So, you look at digital, of course, is there. You look at influencers, they are coming up in a big way. So, so I think integrated and all these other ways of communication is just thinking a little outside the comfort zone. So we have to be innovative. And yes, as Udit was mentioning, yes, people have come out with amazing ideas and who probably we would have taken time to identify, but I think owing to this entire thing, they were, because everything was all about relationship marketing. It was all about relationship management that time. Right from communicating to your team to communicating with your clients, it was all about, having that kind of a relationship, which otherwise in an office setup, it is sometimes, it takes a little while to probably, have those connects with the team. But now that we were looking at intensifying the communication with every wing possible, so yes, it did come up in a very, very bright way, and we are definitely working ahead in preparing for a good run ahead.
And also,
Yeah.
Parul, I would like to add one more thing, right? I missed that. While Pooja spoke about influencer marketing, we are
Yeah.
closely working to build up a tool for influencers. Now, agencies are actually doing that as well. We are also building up our technology for influencer, which we started a year back. It has
Yeah.
already reached to a shape, but so we are investing heavily there. Which I feel that in another 6 months' time, we would be in a position to at least start marketing about that tool as well. It will take 6 months, but then right now we are in a situation where we can at least solve our internal needs from that tool.
So
Yeah.
it will be your own API. It's your
Yeah, yeah, this
own.
would be our
Okay.
own. For us, since we work with a very niche segment in startups, we don't stick to media coverage. We tell them, we guide them. So, for example, a startup came in, 2 months back. I decided we of course I means we decided we spoke internally. They had a limited budget. We gave them an idea that okay, we will, because I like their idea. We would take a certain equity in your firm and we would do your entire marketing. Now this gives us a playground where we can explore more ideas, right? It's just not about one aspect of media coverage, or it's not just about one aspect of digital media. I'm here today doing their VC funding stories as well. I'm sorry, VC funding relationships as well. I'm also taking care of their public affairs wing as well if we want to do. So I get a playground, right? So that's wherein we decided that okay, more than them asking, we will tell them okay, these are 5 6 things which we can do extra, and that is something which I think firms today should look to do. And I'm sure the firms are doing. I'm not pinpointing and saying the firms are not doing it. They would be doing. There are far experienced firms than us. But what is important is, any mid-sized firm or any growing firm should also do these things.
So you said you put in equity. Are you saying actual equity, or are you just talking about basket of services?
No, so what we did was, they came to us, they discussed about certain ideas, and of course they were coming from a reference. I liked their idea, I liked their concept. So we said, okay, this is an amount which we would take as a firm, but we will offer you more services on the equity basis. So what we did is I took up a 10% share in that firm, and they happily gave to me. Why? Because I solved their entire, if they would have hired a CMO or anything, they would have still taken a lot of money, right? Now I am solving their every pointers. I'm even writing their content, which is internal content. I'm managing every service which they could ask for, right? Apart from technology. So that's wherein I came out with an idea. Okay, we will do this.
So that is fascinating. Do you think a model such as this would
I,
can get
I
play?
yeah, I totally see it happening. I think it can only happen with startups. I see firms would be doing it. I have taken personally at least three, four. How many? I think we have taken 4 equities in 4 different companies in
Wow.
1 year, and that would have a range between 5% to 10%, but not above 10% at all. But now with that, what happens is it gives us more power, right? We think we are a part of the organization. We're a part of a brand. If that brand becomes a success, it's a success story for us. apart from communication, which we do, we also handle their other aspect, which gives us more knowledge and also opens areas for different services tomorrow if we want to expand as a firm.
And it actually totally reshapes the client agency relationship.
Yeah.
The returns, the inspiration, motivation levels, the quality of work, everything gets like a solid boost. So that's really interesting. Before we start discussing, the retainer side, where it's pure play retainer, uh, can you offer insights on any other models that could work for the financial arrangements between, which would help solve this issue of clients saying, I want the services, but I don't want to pay the money?
So I think that's the only model which I feel
Okay.
could have
Okay.
happened. You can go out and say that, okay, if this much X is the amount which we want to charge annually, we will take X amount as an equity from you. Right. So the industry as an overall macro thing is a problem, right? So I think the top 20 firms together needs to come together and do some kind of hand holding and some kind of micro management of things with the brands and talk to them on a regular basis. Now what happens is, we don't talk to brands apart from 5-7 agencies in the top level. We don't connect with brands. There are a lot of there are no firms which connect with startups, right? There are very, very less firms. Again, firms who are connecting with startups are only connecting with unicorns. They are not connecting with startups which are unicorn -1 or 2 level. That's wherein everybody needs to come in and say that, okay, we will handhold people. We will handhold brands and tell them what is the need and what all firms can cater to you.
But of course, I don't see a situation where the industry can lay down prices because that never happens. But do you think some kind of guidelines on? It's very tough. I know it's very tough for an industry to do that because it somehow goes into the realm of price fixing and all kinds of other issues. But is there something we can borrow from the advertising industry?
Again, I think as an industry, we need to work together. There are situations which happens, as an association also we fix up a lot of things, but as agencies individually, it's our responsibilities to do that, right? As firms, I see there are firms who stick to this to stick to the guidelines also, but there are firms who don't, right? And they're still the part of the entire industry. So I think it is the ownership of individual firm leaders. It is the ownership of the firms individually. So that's something which we need to manage. And if I decided not to, come down on the pricing after a certain level, I'm not coming down. Whether I might get 100 odd accounts out of, that's a different game. But I will not come down. That is something which we have to decide. There is always a lucrative thing, right? TK, yaar, the pricing is different. We can, go out and take a brand. But it's a very different situation when you get it.
Absolutely. See, the advantage with advertising is ASCII and bodies like that are able to lay down the law. They are actually a statutory body. Yeah. But that's not the case with PR. It takes some time to reach that kind of level. So when ASCII lays down the law about a certain campaign, the agencies and brands also have to listen, and they can actually get in the legal system.
I agree with you, Parul. I think the second thing is, so what happens was when I was talking about this different revenue model, that's the problem which I faced, right? I came out with a certain number. I cannot disclose that, but that person is not able to give that number to me. I said, okay, you cannot give the number. I will give you another solution. I will take an equity in your firm and I will do more work. And he was more than happy to do that. He says, okay. Right? So that's something which as firm owners need to decide. And secondly, you will have to pick your firm. You will have to pick your brands. You want to understand the business model. If you think that a business model can expand, if you think there is a brand can expand, then only go for equity, right? Just don't go for equity and give the solutions, right? You need to evaluate every aspect of before investing your manpower into the firm.
One last question for you, Udit, before I go back to Pooja, who's been really patiently listening to the conversation.
It's not looking like an Arnab panel, though.
yes, it should not be like the Arnab panel. So I think so Udit, almost 3 decades back, HCL, the computer firm, had offered a solution to its senior managers that if you want to set up your own projects which can be large scale, we'll incubate you. This is in the early 90s where such things were not. but you have to share. There's a certain, business arrangement. With the young people in your firm who you saw a lot of, creativity from, do you think that's one way of retaining staff?
Yes, yes, absolutely. That is a very very good question, Parul. One and a half years back, a lady in my firm came to me and said that I want to set up something, but I want to be a partner, right? She came to me and said, I want to do something in gaming arena, right? Where we were not even focusing as a firm. And she said, I would do this under Media Mantra's umbrella only, but I would take a certain percentage in it, right? And I was happy to offer that. But then, Corona happened and everything happened, the entire things changed. But, this thought already came 1.5 years back in our agency, right? And so we didn't materialize with this thought, but what we materialized after Corona was we were able to get more gaming clients, right? Because that was a segment which we were not focusing on. So I think, Arul, coming back to the question is absolutely this is a very very good thing. I think you can increase to a certain extent, right? You can increase, but after a certain extent, it totally depends on how much a person can do also, right? If a person is working in a firm from 20 years, he has already moved to that level. Now what, right? When it comes to that level, you need to come out with innovative things, something like what did you say, right? Coming out with different concept. So that's something which we will also focus on. It's a very very much, it's all of these things are in our radar, and I think that's one of the important ways where we can solve a lot of things.
The level of openness and, the more responsibility you were providing, what was it like to actually, make that leap of faith as founders and owners?
So, Parul, when it comes to giving ownership, so I think as a firm, we have always been very flexible and we've been very open when it comes to giving power to the people. Unless and until, so if your work is done, you have no qualms to give any kind of a support or, provide that kind of a power to the people. So we were okay with okay giving that kind of a setup to the people. But in the past also, whenever such a thing has been given, sometimes you do not know how they actually take up that power. But now I think they've really done a good work on that. They've kind of, created a good client relationship. They've started getting good, media traction on that. So, overall, they have really worked hard and utilized that power well. So I think that was the change that we saw during these times.
That's really interesting. And how does that change your employee engagement going forward?
So employee engagement. So now that now we focus a lot on each other's learning curve. So a lot of people have actually done it themselves. That we were always encouraging people to have a multiple kind of a skill set, and how people have utilized their own skill set. They kind of tell others what have been their plus points, what have been their drawbacks, so that it's a learning, it's a town hall for others also to engage and to learn from their experiences. So when people are vocal about their experiences, and shared experiences are the best sources of learning. So in that probability, it kind of worked very well, learning from others experiences and how they have up their learning avenues. So I think that has that has made the engagement more better for us.
That's really,
Yeah,
that's really.
one more point, sorry, Parul, is in the past 1 year, what has happened is we have connected far far better than how we were connecting as a firm. Now, this is just not as a firm, as an industry also. You would have seen more people connecting with each other,
Yeah.
but we were not doing it, right? I personally, because Pooja takes care of the entire operations at our end, I don't connect with a lot of people. But when I started connecting, I started coming out with different thoughts, because I never thought those people would have that kind of mindset, right? So that's wherein the things changed. It was an opportunity as a pandemic, right? Which,
I really believe in the art of gratitude. So whatever you have and whatever you are in the position today, I think we are in a much, much, far more, much better position whether it's work wise or it's personal, professional, whatever be the thing. So I think we must at least acknowledge those blessings that we have.
Thank you, Udit and Pooja, for joining us on the PR Moment India Leadership Podcast for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Parul. Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot, Parul. Thank you for having us.